Hello and welcome to Cali Legends Media. Thank you to all the subscribers who have subscribed to my channel. It's we're on our way now to our next 1,000 subscribers, and I appreciate each and every one of you. If you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button down below. Then set that notification bell on all so you'll be notified whenever we drop a new video or whenever we go live. Also, if you could take a second, hit that like button. That's a thumbs up, and it really helped the video move through the algorithm, and it's a good way to support the channel, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Okay, so I know on a couple of my previous videos I mentioned how Maravilla or Belvedere was once populated by a Jewish community with some Russians and some people of Gypsy descent. And that goes for Boyle Heights area included. And I just want to touch on that a little bit because, you know, if you drive through Brooklyn Avenue right now, through Maravilla, through Boyle Heights, through City Terrace, all these areas, you see mostly Mexican family or kids in the school, mostly Mexican kids. There are some Jewish families that still remain in the area that never left. You know, they're descendants of the settlers that came here to this area and settled this area back in the 1920s. And, but I'd say over 90% of the people are of Mexican descent. Okay. But as I mentioned in these videos, it was a Jewish community. Russian, some Gypsy, some Japanese. So during that time, the Jewish people had moved over into Chicago, escaping persecutions on the places where they lived. Okay? And some of them came over to California to these areas, Boyle Heights, City Terrace, and Belvedere area. And they settled it. This was like farmland. There weren't a bunch of houses, you know, it was mostly land. And they took advantage of this opportunity to buy the land, divvy it up, sell it in parcels, and slowly begin construction of homes and businesses, naming of the streets, so on and so forth. Okay? Now, fast forwarding into the 30s, places like Brooklyn Avenue, if you go down now, like I said, it's mostly all Hispanic businesses, but Brooklyn Avenue was full of Jewish businesses. Bakers, people who sold kosher food, because they had their markets selling these types of foods. They had, of course, people who repaired shoes. They had tailors, clothing stores, various businesses. Okay? And they mostly had these houses that were built of wood panels. I've showed you them in other videos. And that's what mostly you would find in the Boyle Heights, East Los Angeles area, known back then as Belvedere. And moving forward into the 1940s, there became a lot of problems in the world. Okay, we had Hitler appearing on the scene, who began persecuting the Jews in Germany and other parts of the world, right? Well, the Jews here in the Boyle Heights community, Belvedere community, were protesting what was happening to their brothers in different parts of the globe that were being persecuted, and you know the story of what happened during the Holocaust. And when they were protesting it here, they got a lot of hate by the people. You know, a lot of people turned on them. But what that did is it united the Jewish community more. You know, they came together to resist all of the hate that was being directed towards them. In Roosevelt High School, they had a club called the League of Nations that was made up of various ethnic groups, and the students would go in and talk about the negative sides of all of the racial discontentment and hatred and fighting that was going on in the school and in their community, because it was their community at the time. This whole area belonged to Jewish Russian owners. Okay, yeah, there was Mexicans living in Los Angeles. We had some Mexican families, but if you had a girlfriend, you met a girl at Roosevelt that lived deep in the Jewish community, man, you risked your life to go see him, because if you got caught there, the Jewish youth, Jewish gangs would attack you. You know, even in the 60s, there was still pockets of them where the homies that would come in to the area to come and visit some girls or stuff, run into them, and they'd get rushed. They'd have to get down with these guys. There's a lot of discontentment between the Jews and the Mexican youth at the time, even towards the adults. So much so that it was very difficult for a Mexican family to purchase a house in these areas. You know. Now during the 40s, during the war, a lot of the young Jewish men had signed up to go fight in the war. Okay. And the Japanese that were living in these areas, they were picked up by the government and taken to internment camp, because we were at war with Japan also. And yeah, they were made to live in these little camps. There was 10 camps throughout the United States. And if you were of Japanese descent, they'll go knock on your house and take you and your kids and put you in one of these camps. You were walking down the street, they'd pick you up and put you in one of these camps until they decided what they were going to do with you. If you were Japanese in the school, they'd go to the school, take you out of school, and put you in these camps. You know, it got into the point where Japanese kids stopped going to school. I know they stopped at Roosevelt High School. They stopped going to school in fear that they were going to come and be picked up. Sound familiar? You know, the government's a scary animal, man. You know, they got power and they do what they're going to do. You know, even when they say they're not going to do it, they turn around and do it anyways. That's for another video. But as you know, ICE has been going into schools, been going into churches, been going into hospitals, anywhere they got to go to get whoever they're going to get. Anyways, back to the Jewish community back in the 40s. So a lot of the Japanese were removed from the area, put in these internment camps. A lot of the youth had signed up and joined the military forces, right? Well, towards the mid 40s, late 40s, when they began to come home, these young Jewish men would take up wives, start families, and would want a different and better life for their families. Sound familiar? So what they would do is, a lot of them had money because their families had businesses here. You know, there was a lot of money being made during the time when the Jewish people were settling these lands, you know, these different areas. So a lot of the families had money, and these youths decided to take their families to better areas. Mostly upper middle class lived in Belvedere, Boyle Heights, City Terrace area, but they started to move to other areas like Wilshire District, Beverly Hills. Where people, more rich people, the bigger homes. 5-bedroom home, two and a half bath, swimming pool type properties. And what they did was they rented out their homes to Mexicans, but they wouldn't sell them the home. They could only rent. It took some struggle, some persuading, and some doing to finally be able to start purchasing the homes that we were living in here in the Boyle Heights, City Terrace, Los Angeles, Belvedere, Maravilla area. And eventually, the population shifted, became half Mexican, half Jewish, where a lot of that funk was happening with guys coming into the wrong neighborhood to visit girls or to do whatever they wanted to do, and would end up getting jumped. Even to cruise the boulevard, there'd be pedos sometimes, with these other ethnic groups. Anyways, not to get on that type of a trip, I'm gonna move on to say that push into the area continued through the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And eventually the Jewish population diminished and became very, very few Jewish families left behind. When they came here to these areas, they built synagogues. They came with their religion and they built these huge synagogues. A lot of them were knocked down. Some of them were converted into Christian churches, or like halfway houses for people that were homeless, that needed help, orphanages, different, used for different purposes, not for Jewish worship. And they had a lot of huge synagogues. In any case, these places eventually were used for other purposes. For example, the Salesian Boys Club, that was a Jewish synagogue where Jewish children used to go and participate on community activities to help them, keep them in doing good. Salesian Boys Club took over, and eventually it became populated with a lot of Mexican youths doing the same thing, using sports and different types of activities to keep them off the streets. And a lot of their facilities got changed that way. Just like Alvera Street, that was a huge meeting place of the Jewish community. Now you go there, it's nothing but Mexican restaurants, some of the best tacos and burritos and enchiladas and chile rellenos and pozole and all that good stuff you could find there at La Placita. You go there, you could buy sarapes, huarachis, you could listen to mariachis. It's a Mexican theme now, and that wasn't the case back when the Jews were here. It was all Jewish. You go down Brooklyn now, and what do you see? King Taco, bunch of cultural murals of Mexicans. A lot of mom and pop stores, a lot of street vendors, a lot of brown faces. And I know that during their protests against what Hitler was doing to the Jews in Germany, one of their main protests took place there in Brooklyn and Soto. I've seen film and pictures of that going down there on Brooklyn and Soto, and you didn't see one brown face in the crowds, in the pictures, and now that's all you see. I think it's probably like a 90% Mexican populated area now, and yeah. But even from the 70s to today, the area's changed a lot. The streets are paved now. We got sidewalks. The houses are stuccoed. Back then, there was a lot of fruit trees. Now we have a lot of palm trees, oak trees, different shade trees, you know. We still have a lot of fruit trees, but not as many. I remember walking to school in the early 70s and pick fruit on the way to school. And I'd eat an orange, an apple, a peach on one day, and the other day I'd eat kumquats, a mango and something. There was just fruits growing everywhere. It's not so much that anymore, and a lot of the houses now have fences. Back then, there wasn't too many fences. It was more like bushes in front of the houses. That was your little fence. The sidewalk was, the street went all the way up to the properties. It wasn't like it is now. All the houses with high fences and yeah, very different as far as friendliness, but a lot better looking area now. You don't see so much graffiti anymore. I did a couple of ride-arounds, different neighborhoods. If you guys watch the videos, and you see there wasn't too much graffiti. You have to look for the graffitied area. You have to actually look for it. Because if you just drive through the neighborhood, mostly everybody, learns sometime along the way that, you don't want to mark up your area. You don't want to mark up your own neighborhood. That's where you live, Of course, if somebody else comes in and marks, they're going to mark it out. But mostly everybody's cool with where they live, man. It looks nice, and they keep it looking pretty nice. Somebody mentioned about the manicured yard, and it's true. You see the lawns nice, trees trimmed and stuff. It was different. There was a lot of bushes growing, and even would separate property from property back in the early 70s. So from the 70s to the 2000s, there's been a lot of changes in the Maravilla, East Los Angeles, Boyle Heights, and City Terrace area. I took a drive up in City Terrace the other day, and it's a lot nicer looking place. The houses were more run down back in the days, back in the 70s. They were those same wooden houses, but they looked like they needed repair and stuff. Now it looks like most houses have been repaired and upgraded nicely, And even the empty lots aren't full of a bunch of furniture and all kinds of. It's more clean now, better looking area. But still very dangerous. All of them could be very dangerous at different times depending who's out and about and what you're about, So be careful whenever visiting. And anyways, I wanted to do this video just to tell a little history about the Jewish people, the Russian people, and the gypsies that lived here. Even in the 70s, early 70s, I remember there was a lot of gypsies living around in the area. I knew a lot of them because a lot of them were fences. So they would buy tools, cameras, anything, except firearms, because of course we kept all of those. But basically, you could sell it almost anything. They would buy it and turn around and make a profit off of it. There's still a few gypsy families, few Russian, a few Jewish families here in the neighborhood, and a lot of them have grown up here all their lives, and so we respect them, they respect us, and we know some of them know us, and we're cool with them, Anyways, I just wanted to mention that because I'll probably be mentioning it in another video, and so that you know what I'm talking about. Those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched this video will know that little bit of history of the people that pretty much laid the groundwork for the area and developed it. And then we took over, and it is the way it is today, So anyways, this is my video for today. I hope that it was informative. I hope that it helps you to generate some thought, maybe bring back some memories, maybe help you to understand something that you've seen or experienced when you were young regarding these people that lived here in the community. If you grew up around the same time as myself, and have witnessed some of this. But thank you for watching. I hope to see you in the comment section. Don't forget, hit that like button, and most of all, people, stay free. Stay free. Stay out from behind them walls, and don't get locked up in one of them cages. It's nothing nice. Nothing but bad things happen in jail. There's no good in there. Trust me. You want to be out here. This is where everything's at. We want to be with our families, our loved ones, so we can help them and take care of them and be there for them when they need us. Thank you for watching. God bless you. God bless your families, and I hope to see you on the next one.